Welcome, Todd.
Thank you, Joe. I'm happy to be on the show.
Thank you so much. So this is Todd with Whoa. We are, I believe, episode 16 of the Brand Spotlight. This is a show where we interview consumer brands, and we are streamed live on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And then we are restreamed via audio podcast on Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, etc. We'll get right into the show. First, I will talk about my agency for a couple seconds. This show has actually been an outgrowth of my agency. My agency is called Brands Connect. It's a marketing agency. It's brands with a Z, BRANDZ. And we found that every single brand needs a custom marketing plan that's specific to their brand. So that's what we focus on. Without further ado, let's dive right into this episode. So I've known Todd from really LinkedIn. I've seen him on LinkedIn a bit. And then I got to taste their product a few times. I met them actually at the Plant-Based Expo last year. And so I got to actually see the team, and we've been in touch. We've also done some campaigns in the past with the company. So that's the introduction to Todd. And I guess we'll go right into the first question I generally ask. In a sentence or two, how would you define your brand?
Wodo is a line of plant-based gluten-free cookie dough bars. So think about taking cookie dough you make in a bowl, forming into a bar, and taking it on the go. But it's better for you and indulgent. That's Wodo.
Cool. That was very simple, and you packed a punch. I didn't mention this before, but Wodo has agreed to raffle off a variety pack for some of our commenters. We're still in the early phases of our show, so we don't get too many comments. But in order to build some engagement, we're trying to do some raffling. So we really appreciate that. Anybody who's watching live, be sure to comment. It helps the show go. It helps the show grow. And it also gives you a chance to taste Woado. Thank you so much for that offer. And also thank you so much for that concise explanation of Woado. Sounds pretty straightforward. Now I want to get into the actual products. How many current products do you have?
So today we have 6 flavors. We have chocolate chip, brownie batter, sprinkle sugar, peanut butter, and peanut butter chocolate chip.
6 flavors. How many did you start with?
So we actually originally, when we started working on the brand, we had started with 5. And then when we came to market and launched in market fully, we actually decided to add the last flavor at kind of almost the last minute. And that's our brownie batter flavor, which is actually our number 2 selling flavor.
Oh, wow. When did you
Because,
launch?
um,
Oh,
so we,
sorry.
yeah, so I was going to say, when you think about it, everyone thinks about cookie dough. And so I always thought as a kid, what about brownie batter, right? Like everyone loves that chocolate taste. And so that's why we decided to kind of pull it in at the last minute and launch it with the other 5.
Cool. So I have seen products marketed as cookie dough, not so much as a bar. Why did you choose to put it into a bar format?
So when you think about all the cookie dough in the market today, it's either bakeable or you need a spoon and a bowl or it comes in a container. It's not really something you can enjoy on the go. It's something you've got to sit in front of the couch and eat. And so when I really created the idea for Wodo, it was how do you take that product, that feeling that everyone loves, which is cookie dough, and how do you take it on the go? So unlike most bars out there today that are more cookie dough flavored, like a protein bar that's cookie dough flavored, we actually created cookie dough and just formed it into a bar. So you're eating real cookie dough on the go.
How would you define cookie dough?
It's the mixing of all the amazing ingredients that make chocolate chip cookies, brownie batter, peanut butter chocolate chip, or any favorite cookie you love.
I'm going to get a little more into the product detail. We used to get into a little bit of trouble when we were kids because it was supposed to be bad for our stomach. How do you avoid those issues?
So all of our bars have no egg, no dairy. So they're all vegan and plant based, and they're all very simple ingredients. But that's how you avoid any of the issues that you could have with eating raw cookie dough that typically is not that has egg or dairy in it.
If I take your bar and put it in the oven, what will happen?
It cooks, it bakes nice and warm and gooey like a cookie, just in a bar form.
Interesting. Do you have people who do that?
We do, and so, we have a lot of people who either put in the microwave for 20 to 30 seconds, put in a little toaster oven. I personally like my cookie dough out of the fridge. That's how I eat my woe dough, but everyone has their way of eating woe dough.
Wow. How long ago did you start the company?
So we came to market in late December of 2020, but we had been working on the business since mid 2019. But again, just like any entrepreneur, you've got to do a lot of customer development, make sure you're creating the right product, and then do a lot of testing, and then ultimately to pick a time to go to market. And we felt most confident coming to market and launching nationally in December of 2020.
December of 2020. I'm just trying to do my math. So a couple of months after we were all shut down.
So right in the heart of COVID, and I always say that COVID was actually one of the best things that happened to our brand, because when we were working on Wodo in 2019, we had done a soft launch with our product and allowed us to get a lot of consumer feedback. And then going into COVID, it gave us the time to really take all that feedback, make the appropriate changes, and to make sure we were really launching with that indulgent but healthy cookie dough product that everyone loves today called Wodo.
Cool. Do you have any products on you, or should I pull up your website?
Absolutely. So that's our
Awesome.
chocolate chip flavor. That's also currently on every American airline flight that has a first class basket.
Wow. Congrats on that. I'd love to eventually later on in the interview hear that story.
Absolutely. I'll be happy to share it. But it's a very excited time for us here at Wodo.
Wow. So you have six flavors, and where are they currently available for purchase?
So we're sold on Amazon, Wodo.com, of course. We're in boxes such as Bunny James. We're on Snack Magic, Purple Carrot. We're also in Misfit. And then in retail, you can get us at Tops, Giant Eagle, Heinen's, Central Market. And in January of 23, we'll be launching in six divisions of Kroger on the West Coast.
Oh, very cool. Wow. So you've been really getting into the supermarkets. I guess we'll get into that later in the go to market strategy about what your goals are, but that was a great overview of the brand. You also told us we have a special discount. I just got an email. It was just created for us. Spotlight 15 at what's the website again?
Wodo.com.
WHOADOUGH.com. Use Spotlight 15, and you could get a great discount. Thank you so much for that. Now I want to transition. You really told us about the bar. Maybe I'll ask you some more questions about the bar. Actually, what was in terms of the flavor profile? Do you see yourself as competing with the general doughs cookie doughs out there, or is it a little different?
In my mind, it's completely different. We really cater towards the 55 million plus people in the US today that face some sort of allergy or have a dietary restriction. And so, with Wodo, we're plant based, gluten free, dairy free, soy free, egg free, um, kosher, non GMO, project verified, certified gluten free. We're really targeting the people that can't eat your traditional cookie dough today. Though many of our consumers can, but they still choose Wodo because it's that on the go indulgent treat. But it's really focused on the people that can't eat cookie dough, but really want to indulge in cookie dough. And we've given them that option.
Cool. So you're bringing something very unique to the marketplace. Now I want to transition to ask you the origin story of Woado. Did you just wake up one morning and say, "I want to put cookie dough into a bar form," or was there more to that story?
No, much, much more to the story. I actually grew up in a family that owned a restaurant in Cleveland, and when I was 5 years old, I used to spend a lot of time helping the baker, and I would literally eat as much baked goods and raw baked goods as possible. And my whole life as a kid, I was always really, really sick. And in 2011, I got diagnosed with a severe gluten allergy, which actually changed my life because I was nothing but, I would always be the type of person that would go out for dinner, bread, cookies, cake, whatever I could have that had the most gluten possible. And I always had a really bad stomach ache and was very ill. I know a lot of people that probably listen to this can relate. And so when I finally figured out what it was, my life changed. But again, I couldn't then eat all the things that I loved. And then fast forward to 2015 and 2017, two of my three boys were born. At that point in time, they both had severe gluten allergies as well. And so, I recognized that they were never going to be able to eat cookie dough either. And so I thought to myself, well, I'm not going to, only give them cookie dough when we make cookies or gluten free cookies. Why don't we create something that, why don't we create cookie dough in a bar that they can eat anytime, day or night, and not just for kids, but for everyone. And that's really how Wodo was born.
When was this?
Um, so really, the idea, I started thinking about the idea and like, after my boys were born and then accelerate it when we started working on it in 2019.
Cool. And you come from you come from the bakery world, so to speak, in terms of that's what your family was
Yeah, I
doing.
went to the bakery. My family had owned a restaurant. My grandfather had owned a restaurant, and so as a young kid, I was used to going down there, and they had a baker who made all fresh baked goods, breads, cakes, pies, everything. And so I was very used to indulging myself as a kid, and then being very very sick. And it took me until I was about 30 to figure out why I was sick every time I would eat. And I think that allergies have become very prevalent in today's society because people are much more aware of how their body feels. And now when people know that, they're looking for the same things they used to love, but they can now eat. And so cookie dough is like the biggest one, right? Who doesn't love cookie dough? Everyone loves cookie dough. Your grandma, your parents, your friends, your kids' friends. I mean, cookie dough is everywhere. It's part of everyone's life. Everyone remembers licking the spoon as a kid. And so we want to take that same magic that you remember as a kid or as an adult, and we put it into Wodo so you can eat that treat on the go.
That's a great synopsis of really what you're bringing to the consumer. Were you always an entrepreneur, or this was more of a mission to bring out this product?
Yeah, I've been an entrepreneur for a long time. I started a company called Launch House in 2008 to really kind of help, based in Cleveland, Ohio, to help entrepreneurs start and grow their own businesses. It's an accelerator and co-working space, and it's still to this day that's actually where Wodo is based out of, and really has been a platform to allow Wodo to launch and be successful.
Oh wow! So your first business essentially created an infrastructure for your second business.
That's correct. And I've been along the way. I still am and have been involved with other businesses as well. Um, excuse me.
Cool. Is there any other businesses along the journey that other businesses that you feel helped form this?
I would say again, you learn something from every business you're involved with. So from the launch house standpoint, we mentored a lot of companies. We saw a lot of companies start businesses, grow businesses successfully, some even fail. And so, I learned a lot, on the other side of it being more of helping entrepreneurs build their network and the resources and the connections and the capital to grow their business. And then some of the other businesses I've been involved with as well, different pieces of every one of those businesses is always reflective in, the next business you start or are part of.
I'm gonna dive a little bit deeper into the launch house. I'm actually curious. Usually, people go into business mentorship after they've already had successes on the under their belt in order to build credibility. Did you have that, or did you just jump right in?
Yeah, so my background was a little different. So out of college, I worked for a medical technology startup company and got a lot of startup experience. And I started my own company in the real estate space. And then it wasn't so much when we started Launch House, it was really about just trying to build a network and a community of young and like minded entrepreneurs to come together and start and grow businesses in Northeastern Ohio because that ecosystem really wasn't strong. And so it wasn't that we were trying to be the end all and tell entrepreneurs what to do. It was really about being that ecosystem, that organic incubator accelerator program, the way that, being that support system. And then from that just grew a bigger organization that provided access to capital. And we became an accelerator ourselves to fund companies. We had access to mentorship, all sorts of things. I don't ever believe it's about one person. It's all about building a community to support all sorts of entrepreneurs.
And are you still involved in that business?
I am. So our location in Cleveland, Ohio, or outside of Cleveland, we're based in a suburb. We have we have a lot. We have you know well over 75 members today. It's a very active entrepreneurial community. Again, a lot of things have changed since COVID, but again, there's people that work out of the space every day, and it's more of a co-working or organic accelerator than it is a formal program. It's really meant to kind of just be a place where people can come together and more downstream. So when I first started Launch House, it was only startup companies, where today it's much more mature businesses that are past the startup phase.
That's fascinating. And you started it as strictly a co-working space?
So when we started in 2008, it was really more of I'm not even sure co-working was even a thing at that point. It was very much a place where people coming together to start and grow businesses. And we were providing small amounts of capital to help those entrepreneurs get funded or get off the ground. When we first started, I think our investments were like $500 to $1,500. It was just really trying to help people validate their prototype or their idea on a napkin. Again, today, people would be like, "What are you gonna do with $500 or $1,500?" Right? But back then, you really could, validate a business idea or get enough data to prove you have a potential opportunity. And so for us, today we've morphed more into like a co-working space or just a place for small businesses and startups to work out of.
Your story fascinates me. It sounds like you really created this community slash accelerator, which also acted as a co-working space after coming out of medtech and real estate to really build a community for yourself in order to build business. And you ended up learning a lot and becoming some sort of mentor through doing that space. And then you eventually transitioned to bring to market something that was satisfying your own need of this cookie dough.
Yeah, I mean, I think, every entrepreneur ultimately business are started because someone has a need. And, again, this happened to be a personal need in my life with me and now my three boys have dietary restrictions. And so I then had a support system that I had built over the last decade that I could call upon to help Wodo get launched. And so when you think about, when you're starting a food product, you need lots of people to try your product and give real feedback. Well, it's tougher when you're asking your friends and family to give feedback. So a lot of times they'll just tell you what you want to hear. Well, when you have 50 or 75 people that you've known for a long time and know that, they're not going to BS you, that's the real feedback you need for your business to grow and be successful. And that's why, when we started Wodo and did a soft launch in 2019, you probably heard me mention in 2020, we went back into the kitchen. We made a lot of enhancement and changes to our recipes because we'd gotten all that feedback. We took it to heart and made the necessary changes with the goal of building a successful business.
Going back to the origin of Woado from launching that accelerator, um, going back to the origin of Woado, what was it that you put out to the market?
So in 2019,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it was just so we had been working on a lot of different recipes. And so, back in 2019, we thought, again, we wanted to kind of get something in the market. We knew the opportunity was cookie dough. We knew it was better for you. And we knew it was for the people out there that face some sort of allergy. Excuse me. And so, we had entered the market with our initial, I would say, prototype, right? Or not, or finished product. And the idea was to get more feedback than just the community here at Launch House and beyond. And so we started going to some trade shows. We were able to get on Amazon and one local retailer, and then we took all of that feedback and going into early 2020, and we said, okay, here's what's working, here's what's not working. let's make the appropriate adjustments or changes to make sure we're really true to our mission, and that's creating a true cookie dough indulgent bar, but has all these, checks the mark for all the health benefits we want to hit.
How did you originally decide? How did you originally do the recipe development?
Just it's just you kind of you create something, and you get feedback, and then you go to another iteration and another iteration, and before we knew it, I think we launched at version 19. And then before we knew it, we are on version 21. And then by version 21, we're like, okay, that's going to be kind of like our placeholder, not a placeholder, but we're going to put a line in the sand here and get a lot of feedback around it and determine if 21 is the final version or if we've got additional changes we want to make.
So those first 21 versions, let's say, so you whipped it up in your home KitchenAid and had people try it, or was there something more than that?
No, there's always something more than that. Again, I know, a lot of stories, it's whipped it up in my kitchen, whipped it up in my mixer. But we took a little different approach. We knew we were working with food. We wanted to make sure we had all the right protocols in place for safety, and especially when dealing with people with dietary restrictions. So we worked with a third party to make sure that all of our prototypes and manufacturing was done in a safe environment. And so we worked with a third party to make sure everything was produced correctly. And then we took those samples and got the feedback necessary to get into the marketplace.
Cool. So you went straight to a kitchen. I assume a co-packer, etc.
Yeah, we went straight to a kitchen to work with you know a manufacturer to make sure everything was done in accordance with food safety. And then ultimately, when we decided that we were going to go to market with our launch product in late 2020, we actually moved all of our manufacturing to Northeastern Ohio. So we're both manufactured in Northeastern Ohio, and we're based in Northeastern Ohio.
Oh wow, that makes it very very local.
It is very local.
Now,
And
if were you able? Did you self fund this business?
so initially it was self funded.
Got you. So initially it was self-funded, and I would imagine going through the kitchen and all those iterations, there was a significant cost involved.
You know, in starting, there's always the cost in starting a business, and so as much as you can mentor and guide other entrepreneurs, you can think you're going to avoid every hurdle in the world, but it doesn't always. I've heard a lot of entrepreneurs say this. You think you're gonna nail it, and then something comes up, and so just like every other entrepreneur I've coached or mentored or been involved with, things come up, but it's really about how you overcome them and putting a really strong support system around you.
How did you know that the market was ready for this?
Um, excuse me. Really for us, it's just going out and talking to the customers and understanding what do they want. It's giving it to my kids is one thing, but then actually going out and talking to other consumers and really doing a lot of testing, going to trade shows, really being active and making sure that we're building a product that people want was my number one priority from starting Wodo.
Where did you find those customers?
Everywhere. So, it's you just got to get out. I mean, I would say this, there's no such thing as luck, right? You make your own luck. And so for us, it was really just, whether it's going to the grocery store, yoga shop, yoga studios, cafes, we understood who our consumers were, or who we believed our consumers were. We went to where they were going. And even during COVID, we would literally cut up samples and drop them at people's homes by using social media to get real feedback on our product to make sure it's what consumers wanted.
How did you get into those shops? How did you get into those yoga studios? How did you get in front? You said you through social media. It was just an organic post on social media. We're in Ohio. We're going to not Ohio. Yeah, we're in Ohio. We're in this part of Ohio. We're happy to drop off samples. Was that it, or was there more involved, or was every single time a whole boutique approach?
Yeah, I mean, I would say each time was very different. Sometimes it would be, we'd have samples here and we'd go out to a grocery store and stand in front and cut samples up and have people try it and give real feedback live. Other times we'd partner with yoga studios or a biking studio. We'd partner with schools. We're very active in trying to figure out, like, okay, here's who we assume our consumer is, right? Again, you never really know, right? As much as you think you know your consumer as an entrepreneur, you're never 100%. And so we actually tested it with a lot of different groups to really make sure that, okay, if we when we go to market, is this really the product that people want to eat? And one thing we heard time and time again is that everyone loves cookie dough, right? That is, I mean, I'd ask you, is there a time in your life you could think about eating cookie dough that brings back a good memory?
Yeah, of course.
Right. So everyone says that, right? It doesn't matter if it's my 3-year-old or my 74-year-old dad, right? Everyone can think of a time where cookie dough played a strong role in a good time in their family. And so for us, it was like, okay, we know people love cookie dough. We know the market's growing at 9% a year. We know that everyone is going after the scoopable market or the bakeable market. Very few people are focusing on the allergen friendly market. Okay, so now we've qualified there's a good opportunity here. Now we got to go find all these different people we believe will love cookie dough, and we got to make sure they'd actually buy it in a bar form. And what we heard time and time again is, oh yeah, why wouldn't I eat cookie dough on the go, right? I ate candy on the go, I ate chocolate on the go, I ate protein bars on the go. Why wouldn't I eat something that's healthy and indulgent on the go? And so we thought to ourselves, okay, that's it, right? We know that people love cookie dough. People are looking for on the go indulgent treats. There's 55 million people in the US today that either have some sort of allergy or dietary restriction or choose to eat a certain lifestyle. And so let's find a way to now get this product into people's hands.
Cool. Back to the origination. What did it just pop into your head one day? I'm gonna put it in a bar format, or was there some iteration, something happened that really brought you to think about that?
No, it really was. I was familiar with the bar market, um, and so I understood how to bring a bar to market. And so when I thought about cookie dough and how I was eating it, or how others would eat it, and where the market was going, I thought to myself, well, I don't want to create another protein bar. I don't want to be another cookie dough, scoopable or bakeable, though eventually the market may go there for Wodo. I really want to create something unique in the category. And at the time, and still today, there's no true cookie dough bar in the market. So if you think about Wodo, right, we don't make protein bars. We don't make candy bars. We make cookie dough and we form it into a bar. So that's what Wodo is. It truly is cookie dough. And so that's what really our differentiator is versus everything else in the market today.
When you say you knew the bar market, what do you mean by that?
Just I ate bars myself. I followed the bar market. There was there were some food companies that were based out of Launch House at the time that were in that space. So I had seen how the market could evolve or was evolving. And so again, not that I wasn't an expert by any means, but being a consumer of bars myself, watching some other entrepreneurs more closely that were in the space, I recognize kind of like how to take that path to market.
Now, if it was, this is always a challenge bringing anything new to market. If the market was ready for it, then you always wonder why hasn't it been done before? And if it hasn't been done before, then you wonder if the market's ready for it. So how did you deal with that challenge?
From our standpoint, again, there's no sure thing in life except you're going to die and pay taxes, right? And so, at the end of the day, we just, we had a good feeling for it. And again, it's a feeling, right? Like we could still be completely wrong. I mean, you know, a lot of entrepreneurs, think they have the biggest success in the world and it fails. And a lot of entrepreneurs don't think it's going to be a success. And it's wildly successful. So in the end, nobody knows, right? but we had felt that we had spoken to enough consumers, we had created a good product that people would want, and we thought it was time to go for it.
Okay. And when did you feel confident that you're ready to go to market?
In late 2020. So, once we had done our first major production run, and we knew, right? We could taste the bars. They felt good. The feedback we were getting were people loved the bars, and we knew, okay, we're going to give this a shot.
And what were the first few things that you did to bring it to market? It sounds like you were already testing the market well before you really launched your bar in the market officially, and you most probably built some sort of consumer base. But what were one of the first few things you did in order to bring it to market?
So we got back on Amazon. We set up obviously through our own website through Shopify, but really went in back, reintroduced the bars to our retail partners that were previously carrying our first iteration. Um, and we started going to trade shows. I mean, and partnering with other avenues to get our product into the market. So we created some very strong influencer campaigns. We did a lot of grassroots marketing, and we really focused on trade shows.
Okay. Back to the first iteration of your product, you already were on Amazon. You were in some stores. It sounds like. How did you get the stores to be willing to take a gamble on you?
I let them try it.
And you let them try it, they liked it, but you still needed a new iteration based on feedback.
No, no, no. That's what I'm saying. How did I get the stores? You mean day one or after we
Day
had
one.
reiterated? That it's just working your network, right? I mean, it's I would say I said this at the beginning. If you just sit in your house or in your office and don't get out, like there's a chance you're not going to be successful, right? Like you've got to get out, you got to network, you got to get access to the people that make decisions, and that's what we did, right? We figured out who the right buyers were, at the right stores we needed to test in, and we found a way to get in and get that opportunity to help our brand grow.
How did you choose which stores?
For us, it was local. There's a local store in Cleveland called Heinen's. They're a really strong partner for local innovation and local food innovation. And so, we approached them first because that was a no brainer, right? Like they're a local grocery store. I've shopped at both them and Giant Eagle since I was a kid, and I felt that those were my two ideal launch partners. And Heinen's said yes, because that's who we presented to first. And we actually just successfully launched in Giant Eagle this past week.
Congrats. Now, it sounds like the first test you actually had to go back into the kitchen and reset a few things. What was the feedback, or what was the difference between the first and what's in the market now?
Sure. So when we initially launched in the market, the bars were all peanut or tree nut based. They also contained honey. And so, what we realized, I think day one when we were making the bars, um, we were really set. We kind of we thought we were making cookie dough, right? And then as we were testing and iterating, and we finally got to version 21, we were like, I think we were all questioning, is this the right, you know, is this the right recipe? Does it taste just like cookie dough? Does it feel like cookie dough, right? But at some point, you can have so many people internally test it, and everyone has a different answer. You've got to let the market tell you. You got to let the market set a direction, right? And so for us, we really wanted to get some market feedback, and then determine if we needed to make some changes. And the market spoke quickly, right? We knew probably within 90 days that we had missed the mark, right? We thought we were creating a cookie dough bar, and we created something that was not a cookie dough bar. And so we went back in the kitchen, and we went back to how you make cookie dough. How do you make gluten-free cookie dough, right? And that's what we did first. We made gluten-free cookie dough. And then we said, okay, now how do we make this into a bar? How do we make it shelf stable? And that's what we did.
So you had to literally reconstruct the entire formulation.
100%.
I have two questions for
Sure.
you. How number one, how did the market let you know? You know, I'm assuming people who came into the store didn't cold email you saying, "Oh, your bar was terrible." How did they let you know? And I'm not saying it was terrible, but whatever feedback that was, how did they let you know?
It was very simple. When we initially launched, back in late 2019, we did a lot of demoing. So, and I personally did a lot of demoing, right? COVID was just, COVID wasn't quite yet a thing. I remember I did my last demo in probably February of 20. So right as COVID was starting, and we were demoing nonstop and getting feedback. And listen, if enough people pick up your bar and walk away and don't buy it, you've got a problem, right? Because usually, if you like something, you try it, you buy it. That's just a consumer habit. And so you see enough of that, you see your Amazon reviews go from 5 star to 1 star. And Amazon's the greatest thing in the world, right? Because it doesn't take you months to get consumer feedback that product's not selling at a retail location, right? If people don't like your product, they're going to tell you on Amazon the next day. So when you have enough 1 and 2 star ratings, and you've got enough people not buying when you're promoting, and you're the founder, and you're looking and you're saying, okay, you know, people say they love our packaging, they love our brand, but they're not buying the product. Or if they're buying it, they're not buying it again. Well, there's an issue. And so either at that point, you can do one or two things. You can either pack it up and write your loss off, or you can go back to why'd you create this product? Who is it for? And can you create something that's meant to have that same exact feeling that you're trying to get to? And so, we decided to double down, right? We said, something, we know we can create cookie dough in a bar form that everyone will love. And that's what we did.
Exactly what I want to ask you about. You know, how did you not see this as a colossal failure, and how did you go back into your mission, and how did you know you can do that actually?
It's really about believing in yourself and the team you put around you. It was really, again, we've always been a very, very small team, but I've always had a great set of advisors and mentors. And it was really, it's that it's knowing it's having the belief that you've got the right opportunity, but just making sure the product matches the opportunity ahead of you, if that makes sense. Um, and so, you know, if you haven't seen our packaging, right, it's bright, it's bold, it really speaks to being fun and cookie dough. And so that's what we heard time and time again. And so I knew that there must be a way to take that nostalgic feeling of making cookie dough at home and getting it into a bar form. And so, really that's what I sought out to do is, I'm like, listen, I'm going to give it one more shot. I'm going to see if we can redo the recipes. We're going to get back into the kitchen. We're going to redo the recipes, and we're going to really create that cookie dough indulgent taste and feeling into the Wodo bars. And that's really what we did.
Was there at any point that you felt totally defeated and you're like, I'm not going to do this?
Yeah, I mean, there's always, like, you always second guess yourself. You always question, is it going to make it? I mean, I to this day, right? I mean, listen, we're on American Airlines, we're in Central Market, we're in Tops, we're in Giant Eagle, we're in Heinen's. We're going to be launching in 6 divisions of Kroger. We're starting to enter the school market for K through 12 because we qualify as a grain credit as a smart snack for kids who have allergies. And so, you know, every day I question, are we going to make it, right? It's really, really difficult being an entrepreneur. It's really stressful. I mean, every day is an 18-hour day plus. And so, but ultimately, I believe in what I'm doing. I believe that, cookie dough is something that everyone loves and people really love it on the go. And so, I think that we're the right product for the right time. And, we have a small but mighty team that's determined to make this a success.
Cool. Wow, that was a really appreciated you really taking us into your journey and into your mindset about bringing a product onto market not selling, and then being able to understand that your brand is a lot more than the product you put out in the market last week, and it's really about the mission, and leaning into that mission, leaning into that brand mission in order to make an even better product that the consumer actually wants.
Yeah, I mean, I would say yeah. I mean, it's been a journey, and I would say that we would not be here today without really good partners. And one of those being American Airline, right? I mean, and our advisors, our mentors, and all of our key retailers. It's really people taking a chance on us, and we're proven to be successful with them.
Now I want to transition to a little bit more of your current go-to-market strategy. It sounds like, or really your earlier go-to-market strategy, it sounds like one of your key things was to talk to the buyers, people making decisions and going to trade shows, which is also along those same lines. At trade shows, hopefully, the goal is to meet buyers. Now, the question is, did once you get into a store, do you automatically sell, or do you have to do support, do demos, etc.?
I would say, for myself and any brand out there, no one just sells, right? I mean, again, especially if you're a new brand. So, we have a multi-layered approach to helping drive product off the shelf. But again, if you think just putting product on the shelf and it's going to sell it, you know, it's just that's not realistic. I mean, you really have to build, a lot of different marketing. You need to have a lot of different tools in your toolbox to help your product get off the get off the shelf. Demoing, promotions, social media, influencers, ambassadors, on the ground partnerships and giveaways. There's a lot of pieces that come together to help your product move.
Could you take us through that multi-factor approach? If for example, if a company comes to you at a trade show, they want to carry your product. If they just carry your product, put it in the back shelf, it's going to be one order and that's it. How do you ensure that you'll have a good partnership?
Um, for us, it's really understanding where our product is best suited. So to me, I don't want to be next to the protein bars, right? I want to be at point of sale. I want to be in the dairy section next to cookie dough or next to Perfect Bar. I want to be in the lunchbox section. So it's really knowing, where your product sells. Excuse me. It's really knowing where your product sells best, and then also having a good retail partner who's willing to engage with you to try different things. Because typically you think a bar goes in the bar section, right? But again, I like to make the case that we're not a typical bar, right? We are a cookie dough bar. We are indulgent but healthy, and so for us, it's really making sure you work with your retail partner because that's really what they are, right? Like the retailer is your partner. Our success is aligned, and so by us really working together, we make sure we're in the right spot, we're in the right promos, the right demos, so we're targeting the right consumer to get our product off the shelf.
Did you ever tell a retailer that it's not a good fit?
Um, so to date, we've not had to do that yet, but I wouldn't be afraid to.
Got you. Got you. Okay. That makes total sense. The other thing is that you're from what I understand, you're competing with tough retail space. Is it tough to get the retailer to try to, essentially in most cases, I would assume they have to replace something else in the store. They have to put your bar instead of something else. Is Has that been a challenge?
So I think retailers are always looking for innovation, and I think Wodo presents real innovation, right? I mean, I like to look at you have candy bars to the right, protein bars to the left, and then you have healthy, indulgent Wodo right down the middle. And so, for us, I think we present something unique that consumers are looking for, especially being gluten free, vegan, plant based, non GMO project verified, certified gluten free. It's tough to find a makeup of a product that has all of those things, but still tastes good. And so when you're able to present that to a buyer, it makes their decision easy to buy our product because, again, there's not a lot of options out there.
Got you. So it sounds like what you really have done is you really have developed a sales process where you connected with a lot of the retail buyers and also made sure a lot of your goals were aligned so you can work as a very organic partnership and also work the marketing angle so it's not just sitting on a shelf in the store.
That's correct. And, and,
Did you
and
sorry.
go ahead. Sorry.
Did you initially self-distribute?
Yeah, so actually, we still do some self distribution as well. We are now working with some of the larger distributors throughout the U.S. But wherever we can self distribute, we do.
Got you. Was there any point where you thought like, okay, we got this big chain store, we made it?
No, I mean it's. We're on American Airlines. I'm still not sure we made it, right? And so, I think there's always. I think you're always going to say. I'm sure some of the biggest brands in the world that are still run by their founders probably aren't sure they've made it. And so for me, it's we just keep grinding every single day, just trying to get us more sales, more brand awareness, more product into people's hands. Over the summer we did 8 trade shows over 8 weeks, and we're just about to start 5 trade shows over the next 6 weeks. So we are very active about getting our product. Um, we're very active about getting our product out there and in front of people.
So it sounds like your trade shows is really where it's what you're doubling down, focusing on.
That is correct.
Wow. How could you tell us a story about the how you got into American Airlines?
Sure. Hold on. Yes. Um, so so we actually used a broker. Um, so twofold. One is we got connected with a broker who specialized in the airline industry. Because again, what we learned and been told is that it's very much a industry where everyone knows each other. And so when we connected with a broker who we felt confident in, who really understood the brand, understood the value proposition, why it would go good on the airlines, he presented us an opportunity to help cost share for a trade show. Not one we were going to, but one that he was going to go to and present our brand. And so we did that. And then at the same time, a few months later, we were at Fancy Food, and we actually met the team from American Airlines. And sorry about that. And being at the trade show, I said, "Oh, how do you know about Wodo?" And they said, "Well, we had actually seen your brand and tried your brand at a different trade show. So they're already aware of us." And they said, "We liked your product." But at that point, the odds were probably 1 in 1,000 we'd ever get on board, right? We're the small brand, fancy food show. I'm not even sure, the communication was probably less than 45 seconds, right? All we knew is that American liked our product, and it was something they were considering, probably one of 1,000 products they were considering. And then, we just kept working with our broker and just continuously getting updates, sending samples, and the feedback just kept being more and more positive until, this past summer, we were actually at a trade show where our broker broke the great news that we're going to be in flight on all American flights and have a first class basket within the United States. Um, and so for us, it was just an amazing accomplishment in the sense that partnering with an airline that's so forward thinking, you know, I can't tell you how many times I've been on a plane with me and my children and there's no gluten free options. My one son is dairy free, so there's no gluten free or dairy free options from a food standpoint. And so, to me, to partner with one of the biggest airlines in the world, and then for them to recognize that this is something that people really want, uh, makes me feel good as a founder and as someone who's worked so hard to build Wodo.
Wow, that's great. But I see, like, from what I'm constantly hearing from this entire story, there was never a magical moment of I did something once and I got a deal. It was this constant communication with the buyers, with the brokers, with the stores, with the partners in order to develop something for the market.
Yeah, there's no, they will just come to you, right? Like, I think that a lot of, when I was probably in my early 20s starting out, I probably figured, the door will open, people will come, right? And it's very much doesn't work like that. I mean, it is. It is constant communication. It's constant follow up. It's going to a lot of trade shows. I mean, like I said before, I think I said it's 8 trade shows in 8 weeks. We're about to do 5 trade shows in 6 or 7 weeks. I mean, we're very much out there in front of the market, making people know who Wodo is. And again, there's still no guarantee that it'll be successful in the end. I mean, it takes a lot of hard work. It takes luck. Remember, I said luck. There's no such thing as luck, but we're working hard to make our own luck. And so, if you combine all these factors, I believe good things will happen. And ultimately, you've got to create a good product that people want to eat.
Cool. Now, you did allude to the fact that you do have brand ambassadors and you've done some influencer stuff. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. Sorry about that. I can't seem to kick my dry cough that I've had for like 2 months. Sure. Yeah. I mean, we are very big in giving product away. Again, it's no secret sauce that, ambassadors, are out there. They're everywhere. They're on social. People like free product. They like free product they believe in. And so, we've built a very concise strategy on how to get product into our key influencer ambassadors' hands and help share the Wodo story. And so we are very much about getting that product out there, getting in people's hands, and not just here in Northeastern Ohio, but all across the country. And so, we've created specific boxes. We really believe that, people need to try Wodo to buy it. And so we really work hard to do that.
So it sounds like you did identify key characteristics of influencers and ambassadors. These are people you pay, or these are people who just ambassador in exchange for product gifting, or it's a bit of both?
Um, it's a bit of both, but I would say that we believe very strongly in not paying for ambassadors today. We really want people and partners that really believe in the brand, who like the brand, who would eat and purchase the brand themselves. So again, there is a place for paid ambassadors in the market. In some instances, we have utilized paid ambassadors where it makes sense. But we really believe in finding influencers and ambassadors that really would be Wodo consumers and having them out there as our ambassadors.
That makes sense. Now, for you did mention you have key characteristics, a very concise of key characteristics nationwide, not just local. Anything you'd be open to sharing with us about how that works?
Yeah, I think I'll leave that one for another day.
All right.
Again, I've shared a lot, and usually I'm pretty open. But there's some things that we've been able to figure out that kind of I think has given us a little bit of a distinct advantage. At some point, God willing, when I sell Wodo one day, I'll be happy to share how we've done it all.
Sure. Thank you. I appreciate it. You've been very, very open. So I really appreciate you sharing as much as you did. That was amazing. But it sounds like every company really has to develop their secret sauce to that's going to work for them specifically.
Yeah,
that's
say, excuse me. Every product is different, so everyone's got to create their own process. And ours will be different from the next, right? And so, I think that part of it is working hard, identifying who your tribe is, and making sure you really maximize their ability to help you grow your brand.
cool. I did connect with some people at your company. I don't know if it was with you, and we actually alluded to in the beginning. We actually did a campaign with one of my clients where I have a client that has a prenatal wellness group in LA, and you did a product lobby gifting. So that was a ton of fun. Thank you for that. Like 450 new and expectant patients every month, so they got to try the product. So that was a fun campaign. That was our initial campaign. That was fun. Is there anything? What are you looking to do? Are you looking to double down on anything? Is it specifically the trade shows, or it's really this holistic approach that's really almost the trade show seems to be the key cornerstone of it?
So I would say that we'll continue to double down on trade shows. We're also going after a new market vertical um, that I don't want to go into quite
Sure.
yet, but we've seen some very early success, and we're really looking to go all in on that market because we think it'll allow us to expand much quicker throughout the U.S.
Got you. That makes sense. And did you specifically work with a broker in the case of the airlines, or do you generally work with brokers, or do you generally do it in house?
So the case of the airline, we worked 100% with a broker, and I'm really thankful for him every day. And then, we have a combination of brokers and in-house sales between myself and someone and two people on my team. But we all kind of do a little bit of everything. So it's a really small team. There's only two full-time people and a part-time person when he's in college. And when he's not in college, he's full-time. Then we have some, and then we also have some other intern support. But we are a really small team that it's just really dedicated to the cause.
Wow, that's amazing. And I met some of the people at the trade show, so they were really fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Thank you.
go ahead.
What was
Sorry.
that? No, I just said thank you so much for sharing your story.
Yeah,
I wanted
thank
to
you for having me.
for sure. As we mentioned before, hopefully you'll feel better with the cough. I apologize for
Yeah, no, listen,
being this day.
it's only in my office. I was just saying to someone this morning, it's only when I come to the office. It must be something in there.
Yeah. So, anyways, thank you so much, everybody who's listening to this episode on YouTube Live, Facebook Live, Facebook Live, and we're on LinkedIn Live. We really appreciate. This is streamed live episode. I believe it's 16. Keep on forgetting the numbers of the brand Spotlight, and we are restreamed as an audio podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, etc. Todd, so we know we could order your bar at a lot of grocery markets, Amazon, through your website. We have the coupon code Spotlight 15, and I guess I wanted to ask you the last question. Oh, the last question. Do you have any parting words, and where can we find you?
So I'm on LinkedIn. So connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm also my email is todd@wodo.com. And just I don't know if I have any parting words. It's just that you got to play the long game. I mean, there's no such thing as an overnight success.
Thank you so much.